It is very important to the way we live our lives.
Its results are around us every day, even under our feet, and there are more than 87,000 its across our country.
Do you know what it is? Hi, I'm Sid. Welcome to Democracy Rules. If local government came to mind, then you're right on. For you and I, our local government is what really keeps everything going. So here's the question. What kind or kinds of local government do we have? Let's see who knows what.
Hi, I'm Shavela. I'm here to find out what you know. Can you tell me 3 things you know about your local government?
I know who our mayor is, I know our city council members and representatives, and I know that it's run pretty good.
To be honest with you, I don't know much about our local government.
Well, you know, in a lot of the small ways that I think people don't think about, local government's really critical. It's the things like taking out the trash and making sure that if your house catches on fire, the fire department shows up, making sure that the schools are financed and run properly, and you know, just a lot of things that we take for granted.
In Hillsborough County, your local government depends on where you live. The county, Tampa, Temple Terrace, and Plant City all have separate governments. So counting national and state levels, it's possible for some of us to be under 4 levels of government at once. Let's go to our resident expert, Senator Les Miller, for a perspective on that. Senator?
Thanks, Sid. With me is Dennis Holt, Supervisor of Secondary Social Studies for Hillsborough County Public Schools. Dennis, thank you for being here. Students watching this show probably think 4 levels of government is way more than they need. Let's talk about how it all works.
Well, the framers of our Constitution were concerned with concentrating too much power in too few hands. So they developed the system of federalism. System of federalism allows the federal government, of course, to share power with the states. And essentially, it promotes unity to the federal government, the national entity, without too much uniformity.
Mm-hmm. So there's different functions at each level, although there is also a lot of similarities. Are there arguments against having too many tiers of government?
There are arguments against it. I think the biggest argument is probably that too many services are replicated. There's too many levels of bureaucracy for citizens to deal with. But I'll go back to that idea of promoting unity without uniformity. The biggest advantage to me would be that states and local governments are more responsive to the needs of the citizen and can react more quickly to their day-to-day wants.
Good. Why should students learn more about their local government?
I think local government is probably the place where they can have the biggest impact. They have the opportunity to appear before a school board to air a grievance or to suggest a solution to a problem. Likewise with a local zoning board. So for students, this is an opportunity for them to interact with government on a basis that's going to affect their lives the most on a day-to-day level.
Do students have the opportunity to come to school board meetings and address the school board?
Absolutely. We sponsor every year a student forum, a formal opportunity for students to come before the board and suggest solutions to a number of problems. And interestingly enough, over the time that I have been down there, they have come up with some really interesting solutions to the challenges facing us. And of course, they do have access to our board members as elected officials on a day-to-day basis. And very often we do receive calls from our board members because of something a student or any citizen in our community, an issue they may have brought before them.
Great opportunity. Thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate it so very much.
Senator Miller, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Sid, local government is where our whole understanding of civics begins.
Thanks, Senator. Since we have multiple governments, it would be good to understand how all of this works. Our state constitution determines the basics for both county and municipal government. Let's start with the county.
I'm online at Article 8 of our state constitution, which outlines the basics of county government. It allows either a charter or non-charter government, requires 5 specific county officials, and sets a Board of County Commissioners as the governing body. After that, each county can do its own thing. Whatever gets approved in a charter becomes a part of that county's government.
Charter, a written instrument that creates and defines the organization of a city.
At hillsboroughcounty.org, we can look at a summary of our official charter. It divides county power into the familiar legislative and executive branches. Remember, the judiciary is established by our state constitution. The legislative branch is a board of 7 elected county commissioners. Here's their website. The job of the county commission is to make decisions and develop policy to manage the county's activities. Board meetings are twice a month and open to the public.
Policy, a high-level overall plan of goals and procedures of a governmental body.
Want to be a commissioner? You need to be a U.S. citizen, a registered voter of the district where you run for election, and a resident of Hillsborough County. The term is 4 years.
Now let's look at the executive side, the county administrator. The county administrator is the chief executive officer of the county and is appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. This position carries out the actions of the board and manages all county agencies to deliver services to county residents. That includes overseeing more than 45 agencies, more than 5,000 employees, and managing a budget of more than $4 billion.
Hillsborough County has nearly 1,200,000 residents, and that's a fact.
County government is a great source of public services too, some we're familiar with, such as fire rescue or the library. You can check them all out under departments at hillsboroughcounty.org. Now let's check in again with Senator Miller.
Former County Commissioner Joe Chalura, who served on the Board of County Commissioners for many years, is here to help us understand the role of county government. Joe, thank you for being with us. We appreciate that.
Good to be here.
First of all, let me ask you, why did you get involved in local government?
Well, I had an interest in local government back in 1971 when I ran for the city council by virtue of my involvement in architectural projects like redevelopment of the downtown area. There was a sort of a blind ear or a blind spot in the eyes of the council back then regarding redevelopment and the kind of things architects are interested in. So our committee that I chaired decided that we ought to have an architect in local office, and I ran against an incumbent back in '71 and served on the council for 4 years and continued to practice architecture. And then in '91 a vacancy became open. Rodney Colson, who was the incumbent commissioner, retired through term limits, and I was asked if I had an interest in that. I did, and I won and served on the county commission for 8 years.
8 years on the county commission, and we served together a little bit on another.
Yeah, and you and I served on the planning commission. Right. I was there for 12 years at a fabulous salary.
Yeah, absolutely nothing.
Right.
Right, but I learned a lot.
That's for sure.
Hillsborough County serves well over 1 million residents, including in incorporated cities such as Tampa, Temple Terrace, and Plant City. What kind of services does the county provide?
Well, the county provides a whole variety of services, everything from environmental protection through its involvement as the board that serves the Environmental Protection Commission, consumer affairs, social services, Head Start, for example. Each one of the commissioners sit on various boards like the Port Authority, the Sports Authority. So their tentacles, if you will, are throughout the unincorporated area of Hillsborough County, although the EPC office is a countywide environmental protection agency. But there's just literally hundreds of ways the county serves the constituency of Hillsborough, which is, by the way, almost 1.2 million people.
Right. The 3 incorporated cities, do they work very closely from time to time? We would like them to work very closely with the county commission.
Well, I don't think they work as closely as they should. When I was on the board, we developed liaison with the city by joint meetings with Plant City and Temple Terrace, but there's nowhere near the kind of cooperation and coordination that there should be, and it's not because the board at the time didn't want it to happen. It was just so many responsibilities and there's so much time in the day that it was very rare that we were able to have joint meetings.
Right. Does the county provide services that are important to young people?
I think so. I think the most important one is consumer services. And one of the things that I started on city council was a student liaison between the University of South Florida and the City Council, and we also had college students serve as aides on the County Commission. I worked out a program where the student aide would have to maintain a B average if they're majoring in political science in order to be an aide to the commission or the city council. That worked out real well, and it gave the students who had an interest in political science, law, or even politics an opportunity to observe the workings of local government.
You encourage young people to get involved in local government and campaigns to understand the process.
Absolutely. Bo Gray was the first 18-year-old to run for city council, and ironically, he ran in my race. Well, I was able to defeat Bo in a runoff election, and he and his dad endorsed me. But he was the first 18-year-old to run for city council in the city of Tampa. I don't know what he's doing now, but certainly I hope that didn't discourage him from getting involved in politics. But yes, I would highly recommend that young people at the college level and at the high school level get involved, even if it's just attending meetings, watching television, watching the government access channels, educational channels like this one. For sure, they need to get involved because too many young people are disinterested in what government is all about.
Joe, I thank you very much for being here with us to discuss county government. Thank you so very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Enjoyed being here.
Shavela, what's next?
Thanks, Senator. We're not quite through with the county yet. I'm back at our state constitution. 5 elected county officials are designated here: a sheriff, a tax collector, a property appraiser, a supervisor of elections, and a clerk of the circuit court. These are constitutional officers who have jurisdiction over the entire county. Each job title pretty much describes the job, and here's a website list. There's lots of useful information on all of them. We covered the Judicial Branch in detail under the federal court system, but here's a quick review of the main elements. Hillsborough County is Florida's 13th Judicial Circuit. It includes county and circuit courts, which hear both criminal and civil cases. Elected judicial officers are a state attorney, a public defender, and more than 70 judges, including a chief judge. And here's something new, judicially speaking, a great program called Teen Court. Teen Court is an alternative juvenile court for first-time lawbreakers. Middle and high school teen volunteers are trained as jury members, attorneys, bailiffs, and clerks. Real attorneys serve as the judges, and the trials are real, with consequences to fulfill. The bonus is that if the offender follows through according to Teen Court ruling, there's no formal record filed. Check out their website for more details.
What part of the teen court system do you think is the most valuable?
There's one more organization I'm sure you're familiar with, Hillsborough County Public Schools. You can check out their website at sdhc.k12.fl.us. An appointed superintendent and an elected school board are the decision makers here. It's the executive legislative system again. The superintendent is the executive officer of the board, and the 7-member board is the regulating body over school organization, control, and effective operation. Believe it or not, our district leaders are always looking for ways to make our school days better. Let's check back in with Senator Miller.
Thanks, Shavela. Students probably understand the impact of school board decisions on their lives better than any other level of government. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. With me now is Doretha Edgecombe, a member of the Hillsborough County School Board. Thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us more about the role school board members play in guiding our schools.
Well, let me just kind of tell you what the state of Florida says about what we're expected to do very quickly. And then I want to talk about what the role that I think most people expect of us or associate with us. Quickly, it says that we are to determine the policies and programs of a district, to adopt the rules and regulations, that we are capable of having contracts, of suing and being sued, and we also perform the duties and responsibilities set forth by the state of Florida. But I think in most cases, and especially for our students, they see us as advocates for them, for the things that they believe are important, for our employees. I think the community expects for us to be a strong and supportive voices for the issues that they believe are important to the operation of the school district. That's putting it pretty clearly, and I think pretty simply.
Pretty broad, but put it simply, but a major, major job.
Absolutely.
Especially with a district the size of Hillsborough County.
8th largest in the nation.
8th largest in the nation. How does the district find new ways to improve our schools and the education students receive?
As a former senator and representative and legislator, I bet you know that many of the things that we're asked to do in this community and across the state of Florida have come out of the legislations and kinds of concerns that you would have as a legislator and as a lawmaker. Often, many of the things that we have to do come from or mandated by this federal government, like No Child Left Behind. In terms of state responsibilities and mandates, I think most youngsters can identify with the idea of this class size amendment and, of course, all the accountability as FCAT. And locally, many of our policies, programs, and procedures have come out of the needs that students themselves have identified. Like, for instance, the idea that we give our semester exams before the winter holiday. And so there's a broad range of ways in which we are given programs, directions, and mandates. But locally, we have a lot of things that have come from community concerns, from students themselves.
So students gave the idea of giving the test before
holidays.
And the school board took that and made it a policy.
Absolutely. We saw the wisdom of it. We saw that it was productive for students. And of course, it now has become a policy, a long-term policy for us.
Outstanding. Do students have the ability to talk directly with school board members?
Absolutely. We're just a phone call away. And one of the things that I think that has been in place since Cecile Estrick was a school board member was to initiate a student forum that we hold every year. And the opportunity was for students to talk with school officials, like board members, about concerns, questions, recommendations, things that they had on their mind. It's a wonderful time to engage with our students. They ask any questions they want to. We can do a couple of things. Listen very carefully, and that's what I think we do most and best of all. And we try to respond to their concerns. And out of that, sometimes there are new policies and procedures.
Major responsibility, major school district in the state of Florida and this country, and a job that takes a lot of work to get done in our school district. We want to thank you. We're out of time. Thank you for being with us today and talking to the students about the role of the school board member. Thank you so very much.
Best job I've ever had. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
The school is the last expenditure upon which America should be willing to economize.
Well, now it's time for city government. Hillsborough County has 3 incorporated cities: Tampa, Temple Terrace, and Plant City. Tampa is the largest and it's our county seat. We'll take a look at it in detail.
County seat, the municipal location of all county government business and documents.
The state constitution doesn't have a lot to say about municipal government. Article 8, Section 2 just says municipalities may be established or abolished and their charters amended pursuant to general or special law. Tampa was incorporated with a charter in December 1855. Tampa's chartered government is known as a strong mayor model. Under this system, an elected mayor is the chief executive officer of the city, working with an elected city council. The mayor is responsible for the direction of all city departments, the city budget, and the implementation of council actions. That's more than 30 departments, 5,000 plus employees, and a budget of more than $720 million.
The City Council holds all the legislative power of city government. The 7-member council creates ordinances and resolutions to ensure good government and efficient, effective delivery of services.
Resolution, a formal expression of opinion, will, or intent voted by an official body.
Have you ever thought about being in city government? The qualifications are easy: being a resident and a voter. Add some knowledge and the will to serve, and it's a great place to start.
Tampa's got a great website, tampagov.net. And inside city government is just that, in-depth information. Click on City Services Guide for a complete list of the services the city provides its residents. Of course, fire, police, and public works such as water and sewer are here, along with other things that keep the city functioning. But there are many other city services too. Neighborhood services may hit the closest to home, no pun intended. Parks and recreation, community relations, and Clean City, which fights litter and illegal dumping, are all targeted at improving the city's neighborhoods.
Tampa is Florida's third largest city with a population of more than 335,000. That's a fact.
All levels of local government are focused on providing citizens with good leadership, great services, and thriving, productive communities. So what's it like on the front lines? Let's check in with Senator Miller one last time.
Thanks, Sid. Joining me is the City of Tampa Mayor Pam Iorio. Mayor, thank you for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Les, it's great to be with you.
Mayor, you have a big job. How did you prepare yourself for this most important role?
Well, one thing is, of course, education. When I was supervisor of elections, I went back to school at USF and received my master's degree in history. And frankly, Les, that history degree, that master's program, I think did more to help prepare me to be mayor. I know that sounds like an odd track to take, but my exposure to history, understanding Tampa's role, particularly in the civil rights movement, all of that helped to motivate me and I think really helped prepare me. I had spent, of course, 8 years as a county commissioner and then 10 years as supervisor of elections, but I do credit that master's degree with being something that pushed me in the direction of even wanting to be mayor.
It's great. You have to face a lot of challenging issues. What are the most challenging ones that you have to face?
Right now, Les, it's what I think a lot of people are facing, whether you own a business, whether you're the University of South Florida, or whether you're the City of Tampa. It's the fact that your revenues have decreased pretty drastically. And for the past 2 years, our revenues have decreased, in part because of the economy and in part because of the property tax reductions that have occurred, both because of Amendment 1 in the prior year when the state legislature rolled us back. As you know, Tampa is a very vibrant city and growing, and we have to continue to make investments in key areas, but at the same time, we have to figure out a way to shrink city government, and we have to shrink it without affecting those key services that the public depends upon. That is a challenge, but we're meeting it. We have looked internally at everything that we do. We're trying to find better ways of doing business, and we are making cuts where we think the public will not, at least in a very obvious way, see the cuts to their services and still be very pleased with the level of service that they receive from their tax dollars.
One of the things that people must realize is that city government offer many services that people don't realize and that are there for them, and they have to start thinking about that. On that note, what direct effect does city government have on students? I know it's kind of a wide open question. What direct effect does the city government have on students?
Well, I love education, and I'm very education oriented, I think, because my father was a university professor, so I grew up in a household where education was just greatly valued. And so when I became mayor, I vowed that we would become partners with the school system. Of course, we're great partners with USF, and Judy Genshaft is a friend, and just we really have a great partnership. I'm a partner with the University of Tampa, but Ron Vaughn does a great job there. But with Mary Ellen Ely and the school system, I think all of us in the community have to partner with the school system. They can't do it alone. I just finished with our last child is out of the public school system, so we're done with public schools for now at least. But when you're involved with public schools, you realize the school system simply cannot do it alone. They need partners, and so when I became mayor, I vowed that the City of Tampa was going to be a partner. We started a mentoring program where I give city employees an hour and a half off a week to mentor a student. We started the Mayor's Youth Corps, where we select 40 students a year from the school system to participate in a leadership program. We helped focus on schools that had less than adequate performing grades and helped bring in corporate sponsors to help those schools and build awareness. We even started the Mayor's Book Talk on television to promote reading and have a wonderful group of students from Rampello Downtown Partnership School. So we have really tried to be a partner with the school system. If they need help, I want them to feel that they can come to the City of Tampa and that we will be as helpful as we can be.
And each and every one of those programs are great programs. That's a little quick question here. How do community activists have a role in city government?
I think that Tampa has a lot of community activists. I mean, we are a city of many neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods are our strength. And we have a lot of people who care deeply about the integrity of their neighborhood, the future of it, and the future of the city. In many ways, while Tampa is the 55th largest city in the country, in many ways it's like a little small town when you start looking at the different segments, East Tampa, West Tampa, South Tampa, New Tampa. People live in small communities where they feel very close to their city government. And they don't hesitate to come down and tell us what they think, and I think they have a real impact on public affairs and on public policy, and I appreciate that, because when you have a city where there's apathy, oh my goodness, you have trouble. We don't have apathy in the city of Tampa, and that's a good thing.
Mayor, we've run out of time, believe it or not. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate all the work that you've done for the city, and thank you for sharing your experiences with our students. We really do appreciate that.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you. Sid, Shavella, I think we've given students a lot to think about today.
Thanks, Senator. Well, that's local government. It's the mainstay of our everyday life and a great place to start a career in public service.
Remember, democracy rules, and you rule in a democracy. See you next time.
Democracy rules!